Bashir Assad wins his elections. Bashir Assad wins the elections in Syria. Bashir Assad, he got 130% of the 130% of the vote? Now that sounds like a sham election. Come on. So Bashir Assad, he's going to win his election, right? Wink, wink. He won the election. This is like how Belarus and U.S. ally Cameroon wins their elections, with just way too much support, like a Saddam Hussein election, where like 80 to 90% of the people voted for Saddam Hussein. Oh yeah, that's a fair election, I'm sure. That's too much. Hey Saddam. Hey Saddam. Hey Paul Biya, Lukashenko, Bashir Assad. If you guys are going to cheat, you can't break the threshold of 61%. If you get more than 61%, then we'll know that you're up to something. So Bashir Assad, how much did he actually win by? So Bashir Assad, this is from a 76% turnout rate, right? So 76% out of 14 million people, 95% voted for Bashir Assad. 13.3 million people voted for Bashir Assad. My God, 95%. That's more popular than Saddam Hussein. Bashir Assad, he must be the greatest goddamn politician in the fucking world. 95%. Holy shit. There wasn't even, basically it's, the other ones are just two Green Party candidates, right? So you had one Republican Democrat and then you had a bunch of third parties, right? 95%. Holy shit. So out of 14 million, that's 13.3 million. Voted for Assad. It's almost like everybody in Syria just adores and loves him, or maybe they're just scared out of their wits and he uses the election to find out who's opposed to his regime. So Bashir Assad, he had two obscure candidates that he was running against. You had former Deputy Cabinet Minister Abdallah Saloom. So Abdallah. And Mahmoud Ahmed Mori. Abdullah Mahmoud Mori. They call this the tolerated opposition, long dismissed by the exiled opposition leaders. The actual opposition said that's like his best buddy, that's like his third, fourth cousin or some shit. Long dismissed by exiled opposition leaders as an extension of al-Assad's government. Oh, okay, so al-Assad ran against two of his own people, so if you wanted the real Assad, well, just vote for Assad, right? So Abdullah, they're not going to, hardly get any of the Abdullah, he got 1.5%. So Abdullah, it doesn't matter how many Abdullahs he adds to his name, he was the third place loser. So Abdullah, just, kick him off to the side, redistribute the votes, and you still don't get. So, my God, this is, Bashir Assad, so Mori got 3.3% of the vote. Saloom, Abdullah got 1.5%. And that was your election. You remember that one election in America when you had one candidate that took all the votes and then the other two candidates that nobody ever talked about? You remember that? Yeah, because it's never fucking happened. 95%. I guess it's legit, right? If it's over 61%, I'm going to, question you. But I guess they did cheat because it wasn't 100%, right? I mean, if they were really cheating, why not just say 100% of the country, right? Now probably those damn 700,000 people that voted for somebody else might be getting shipped to the gulag right now. Apparently, Diverger's law, I'm a man of numbers, and Diverger's law is a phenomenon that happens in democracies, but apparently Diverger's law doesn't apply in Syria, so I guess somehow Syrian numbers work differently in Syria. Bashir Assad, he's not the greatest of all time. We're not going to should the whole world just give him the emperor's chair? Is he that great of a politician? Could he just make the whole world a better place? Just let Bashir Assad take over everything, right? Who gives a shit? No. So in the presidential election of, Assad versus Assad, apparently Bashir Assad was a winner with 130% of the vote. No, wait, the election results have actually been reversed, right? They reversed the election results. So Assad versus Assad, it wasn't Assad that won, it was actually Assad. So what does this mean? Well, this means that Bashir Assad, his bullshit victory, right, his rigged election. Talk about a rigged election. Jesus Christ. you'll see Assad run Syria for 7 more years. So it's not just a 4-year term, 7 more years, right? On top of his family's nearly 6 decades in power. Hey, Assad, you just want to run Syria for the rest of your lives. The Syrians, they don't want democracy. They don't want to choose. They don't want to have an actual choice between their candidates. So his bullshit victory is going to see Assad run Syria for 7 more years. So 2028, Assad's still going to be running Syria. He's been in power since 2000. So let's think about America. We've had Baby Bush. We've had Barack Obama. We've had Donald Trump. We got Joe Biden. In 2000, Syria's got Assad. And that's it. How do I know Assad's a dictator? Because he's been in fucking power for 21 motherfucking years. The best, greatest president, the longest term in America was 12 years, and he got elected to the one but died. So 12 years. 12 years, maybe 16. That's if, you're just so well beloved because you were, a socialist. So Assad, let's see. It remains in the midst of a war that's killed hundreds of thousands of people, driven 11 million, about half the population from their homes. You have a record 51 applicants who put their name forward for the top job. So how many people actually wanted to run for president in Syria? Well, 51 people wanted to run for president, but the country's Supreme Constitutional Court ruled that only 3 candidates out of 51 were eligible to run. Oh, okay, really? So all 48, right? Only 3 candidates, but 48? Again, that's just such, profound bullshit. It's like, how the fuck can you believe this shit? Former Deputy Cabinet Abdullah Mahmoud Ahmed Mori, he's the head of a small government-approved opposition party. Yeah, you can run against me. You're a douchebag. Yeah, you can't win shit. Go ahead, you can run against me. Wait, these guys who could beat me? No, we can't let them run whatsoever. Bashir Assad, he's ruled the country since the death of his father in 2000, and his father ran the damn country for fucking forever. So Jesus Christ, that's a democracy. That is not a democracy. The 48 candidates who were not allowed to run, they boycotted the vote, and they were deliberately low-key because what are they going to do, try to go against the Supreme Constitutional Court. The serious fragmented opposition has called the elections a farce, and there were protests that were staged in Syria's largest rebel enclave of Idlib. Idlib, where hundreds on Wednesday denounced the vote as a charade. So this is a rebel-held northwestern Syrian town. Idlib denounced the May 26th Wednesday presidential 2021 election. Okay. So what does all this mean? Well, this means that, okay, France and Britain and America says it's a farce, but so are Syrian opposition politicians. So are Syrians. The people of Syria are saying that it's a farce too. So it's not just the West that's saying this. There are Syrians that are saying it as well. The opposition candidates, and then there's, a good section of people in Idlib that apparently are opposed to it. Okay, so Diverger's Law. Diverger's Law is this. If you have 10 candidates in a majority-take-all election, like Assad had, he had 3 candidates, and it doesn't matter if Assad would have got 49% and the other 2 candidates got 24% apiece, he would have took the election. So whoever gets the most votes, that's not a majority. A majority is 50, over 50%. So that's most. Most is a majority, right? So most is a majority. And when it comes to Diverger's Law in democratic elections, if you have 10 people that run for office, look at America's elections, or look at the state elections, okay? It just happens over and over again. It's a phenomenon that just happens all the time. So you have an election, majority, one election, majority, or whoever gets most of the votes is going to be the president. It doesn't matter if it's the majority, it doesn't matter if it's most of the people or not, it doesn't matter if they have a mandate of the majority of the people, which is why you need instant runoff voting. So, Diverger's Law says if you got 10 candidates in a democracy, what's going to end up happening is 2 of these, turds are going to float up to the top, and then people are going to just talk about the 2 candidates and ignore the 8 other candidates. Even though 10 people have run, 2 candidates are floating to the top, then it becomes a competition between those 2 main candidates. So, see, the last 3 presidential elections, you had lots of candidates in the primaries, right? Democrat, GOP. You had independent candidates, and yet we saw 2 candidates, you know, ever since I've been born, frankly, you know, since, what, 80, 84, 88, 92, 96, 2000, 2004, 2008, 2012, 2016. We've seen 2 turds float up, and then those 2 turds go against each other. So this is a phenomenon that happens in majority-take-all presidential elections. No matter how many candidates are in the race, 2 main candidates rise to the top, and then they compete and battle it out, and that keeps the election very close. That keeps the election very close, because you got 2 people, so you only need 1 vote more than the other guy to win. And when I look at the elections of Syria, there is no divergence law. There is no divergence law. Look at America, okay? So if we look at American elections, 2012, you had Barack Obama versus Mitt Romney. What were the percentages? 51% to 47%. So Barack Obama didn't come out and say, hey guys, I got 95% of the vote. No, Obama got 51% of the vote. He barely, you know, broke the 50% threshold, and then Romney got 47% of the vote. So again, divergence law. 2 candidates, very close. 2016, you had Donald versus Hillary, and Donald got 46% of the vote, and Hillary got 48%. So again, very, very close. And Donald won that election. How does that happen in a democracy? The one that got less votes won? Well, that's not a real democracy now, is it? Now, 2020, Joe Biden versus Donald Trump. Joe Biden gets 51% versus 47%, which is identical to Obama versus Romney in 2012. So they're not saying they won 80%. They're not saying 90%. They're not saying 95%. They're saying they won 51 to 47. 51 to 47. And then Donald, you know, somehow claimed a victory, 46 to 48. And even though that's, you know, clearly not a democracy, it's close. 46, 48, very, very close election. So Syria's elections aren't like this at all. Syria's elections don't have divergence law, and they never have been. Okay, so in 2021, he's going to claim 95% of the vote. Well, in 2014, you know, Bashir Assad was humble. He was humble, and he only, you know, won 92% of the vote. But you know, don't underestimate Bashir Assad. In 2000, he got 99.7% of the vote. Holy shit, 99.7%? So there's just 3 assholes that didn't vote for him. And then 2007, Bashir Assad, he got 99.8% of the vote. Then that what Donald was claiming, Donald claimed he got 99.8% of the vote. Fucking lying, cheating son of a bitch. So you're going to tell me that Bashir Assad, he has got 99.7% of the vote, 99.8%, right? 2000 got nearly 100% of the vote. 2007, nearly 100% of the vote. 2014, nearly 100% of the vote. 2021, nearly 100% of the vote. And he's been in power for fucking forever. That's a dictator who's just using elections as, you know, as dressing. As dressing. Look, hey, you know, we do elections. We actually have a real democracy. Hey, look at us. What Assad uses election for, how Assad uses the elections is that he uses it to target the opposition. Who the fuck is, you know, this is a police state, it's totalitarian, I'm in charge, and I want to know who the fuck doesn't support me. So shit, the whole damn country better start, you know, supporting Assad, or else they're going to get, you know, attacked or invaded, or the neighbors are going to attack them. And then his supporters are just overly enthusiastic. People want to criticize the West by saying France, Britain, you know, all these nations, U.S. had declared that it was a sham election before it happened. Well, his supporters were out, you know, marching in the streets before the election announcement even came. So they was, you know, they already knew that he was going to win, so they were ready to, you know, support him in the street. It's just overly enthusiastic. And, you know, maybe he's a LeBron James, or maybe he's more like that guy in, you know, Jonestown, right? Jim Jones in South America. All of his supporters were overly enthusiastic. I'm sure Jim Jones, he would get like 95% of the vote if he would have done an election of Jonestown. So let's compare Syria to U.S. ally Cameroon, and let's compare Syria's election to Belarus. Belarus and Cameroon are dictatorships, 30-year dictatorships. So Bashar Assad's been in there for 20 years. His papa's been in there 20 or 30 years. I got that. I'll tell you later, but towards the end. But let's compare these other elections, because these other elections are bullshit too. Cameroon is not a fair democracy. Cameroon is a dictatorship. Belarus, that's the last dictatorship in Europe. Both of these are sham elections. So let's look at their numbers. Their numbers look more like Syria's numbers and not like, you know, America's numbers. So U.S. ally Cameroon soldiers engaged in mass rape. Okay, so there you go. U.S. ally, right? We're going to stand by Paul Biya, 30-year dictator, while he's allowing his soldiers to go around raping everybody. That's the side America's on. That's the side America's on. Paul Biya is a dictator, and America pretends that his fucking democracy is, you know, legit. And it's not. In 1997, Paul Biya is going to claim 93% of the vote. 93%? And he's going to get smarter, okay? In 2004, Paul Biya is going to go with 71%. 2011, 78%. And then 2018, he's going to get 71%. So, I mean, people might ask me, is that not possible? 71%, that's, you know, that's not like 100%. That seems like that could be possible. No, I still got a problem with 71%. And 78%, 71%, 93%, Paul Biya is the greatest goddamn politician in Africa. Fuck you. Fuck you. Paul Biya ain't a goddamn, he's not fucking popular. He just forces every motherfucker. You got no choice. So it's like, all right, I'll go ahead and give you the choice, like Assad v. Assad, right? Is it Paul Biya or is it Paul Biya? One thing I'll say about Cameroon's presidential election is it's a runoff election. So the runoff election actually probably makes it. Anyways, 93% in 1997, 2004, 71%, 2011, 78%, 2018, 71%. Fuck you, Cameroon. Bunch of cheating sons of bitches. That's a fucking dictator using an election as dressing, as, you know, cover. It's a dictatorship with fucking sham elections. Let's look at the numbers in Belarus. Old fucking Lukashenko, right? Lukashenko in 1994, he won 81%. 81% of Belarus voted for Lukashenko in 94. 2001, 77% voted for Lukashenko. 77, Jesus. 2006, you think his popularity is going to go down? No, sirree, Bob. It doesn't matter if he's been in power for 20 years. 2006, 84% of the vote. 2010, 80% of the vote. 2015, 84% of the vote. 2020, 80% of the vote. That's 6 elections. 6 elections, and Lukashenko got 81%, 77%, 84%, 80%, 84%, 80%. None of that's Diverger's Law. All that's way above 61%. These elections should be way, way closer. Okay? Now, maybe you could say, well, during wartime, right? Syria has a war. They got a lot of shit that's going on. He's got to kind of crack down on his shit. Well, let's look at 1864, U.S. presidential election. You had Abraham Lincoln that was engaged in a great, a great civil war dedicated on the proposition that all men are created equal. So 1864, in the middle of the Civil War, you had McClellan that was running against Abraham Lincoln. How close do you think that election was? How close do you think an election during wartime, the Civil War where Americans are killing Americans, most bloodiest American, battle affair, whatever you want to call it, 55% to 61%. Wait. That's the 55 to 61% are the numbers that I accept for being fair, because when I look at American history, Abraham Lincoln in 1864, when he ran against George McClellan, he got 55%. 55% to 45%. During a war, one of the most bloodiest American wars ever, and he got 55%, 55%. Now that's an election. That's an election. 55 to 45% during wartime. Look how close that is. That's Diverger's Law. Diverger's Law is right there, even during wartime. Now let's look at America's biggest defeat. Is it possible that you could get 71% support American history says no. FDR beats Alf Landon in 1936. FDR beat Alf Landon. Who's Alf? I don't know. Alf Landon? He seems like he's not going to beat an FDR. Jesus Christ. Alf? I don't want a President Alf. I'm not going to do that. No. But, okay, this is the biggest landslide in American history. What percentage do you think FDR is going to get versus Alf Landon in 1936? 61%. 61% to 37%. So even though FDR was beloved, there's still a bunch of motherfuckers that just hate the guy because he's Democrat, right? He's on the wrong team. 61% to 37%. So that's FDR's biggest landslide, or America's biggest landslide, was 61%. During a wartime, Abraham Lincoln against George McClellan was 55%. So 55%, 61%, these are the numbers I would accept. These are numbers that show me that the democracy is working, that the people actually had a choice. The people of Syria did not have a choice. The people of Syria had no choice whatsoever. You cannot tell me that this election was fair in good conscience. You cannot say that. I mean, Paul Biya got 71% right. No, that's not fucking possible. 2008, Paul Biya, 71%. Fuck you. Fuck you, Paul Biya. 71. He got 71%. That's close. He's doing better at, fucking cheating or whatever. But he's throwing people in, he had arrested one of the opposition leaders, threw him in jail for a year. He's killed hundreds. He's killing his own people. Hey, America, how come your ally, Cameroon, is killing their own people, and you're just sitting right next door not doing a goddamn thing about it? You're in Cameroon. We're on the wrong side of the war. The Cameroonian war, we're on the wrong side because we're propping up a fucking dictatorship. So, Richard Medhurst, he can, point out the hypocrisy that America's going to support Cameroon in spite of their fucking sham elections, right? He can point out that, hypocrisy. There's a lot of hypocrisy to point out here. So, Assad v. Assad. Hey, look, Assad won. It'd be like an FDR picked Dippy Doo to run against. And even though he did have a Dippy Doo, he had a Dippy Doo. This is Harlem Globetrotters versus, some high school basketball team. And yet, he only got 61%, right? FDR was, 61% to 37% versus Abraham Lincoln and George McClellan, 55 to 45%. No, I don't believe you. I don't believe you. You got 95% of the fucking vote. You got 95% of the motherfucking vote. Now, this is, for more history, okay, it's symbolic to vote in the city of Duma. This is a stronghold of the opposition for many years. So this is the birthplace of the Syrian revolution. This is where the opposition is. But Assad says, nope, we're going to vote in Duma. How many, polling stations were there? The regime and its allies, however, later flattened the city in a bid to recapture it. They say that it was the Arab Spring in 2011, so he is a tyrannical piece of shit. It's very possible it was an organic, maybe, CIA sort of influenced, but they were sick of, who the fuck could, tolerate tyranny? Who the fuck could tolerate slavery? Who the hell can tolerate oppression? So, Bashir Assad, he's been in there since 2000. He's been in power for 21 years, and he's going to have another 7 years on top of the 21. His father, Hafez al-Assad, he ruled Syria for 29 years. Oh, okay, yeah, not a dictatorship. Not a tyrannical, totalitarian dictatorship. I'm sure the democracy there is just so good. I bet you they got Soviets. I bet you they got, locality, just democratic republics, just caucuses where people actually meet up. There's problems with caucuses in America. Get the fuck out of here. So, Hafez ruled Syria for 29 years, and then Assad is going to rule the country for another 28 years, apparently. So just like his papa, right, for 60 fucking years. Talk about a dynasty, right? Our dynasties, it takes a couple elections, right? Bush, then Clinton, then Bush, right? And then, try to get Clinton or whatever. So that's how dynasties in America work. But how dynasties in Syria work is that al-Assad, he gets to run, he gets to rule Syria until he dies, and then his son, who has been just raping chambermaids, because monarchy, oh, you're the son of the king, so therefore you can lead a fucking country? That's stupid logic. That's dumb. You know what the Romans used to do? instead of, like, you know, Octavius or Augustus or whatever, instead of picking, like, their son to be their successor, they would pick a badass motherfucker and just kind of, like, groom him as a son. And so they would just, instead of saying, okay, this is my blood gets to, you know, run the country, instead of just, you know, saying that their little, you know, if they died and their kid is 5 years old, well, the 5-year-old kid gets to run the country, right? Actually, that's how Octavian became ruler. So Julius Caesar, I'm assuming he had kids. I don't know if he did or not, but Julius Caesar had picked Augustus, to be his successor. So that wasn't a son. That wasn't, you know, in a monarchy. Monarchies are just so stupid. Monarchies are just so dumb as fuck. Okay, anyways. How do I know that Syria is a dictatorship? Because the same fucking two assholes have been running the damn country for 60 fucking years. It's like North Korea, like the Kims or whatever. Just, you know, forever and ever, we're just going to have one asshole and just his kid and then his kid's kid and his kid's kid. And then that's just how we're going to have. That's not democracy. That's not democracy at all. That's how totalitarian dictatorships work. Should we pick a worthy Syrian? Should we pick a worthy, you know, Syrian citizen to elect maybe a good politician who, you know, talks well and, you know, promises this or that? Are we going to get a citizen to run Syria for us? Or are we just going to let the Assads fucking run Syria until the day we die? So Richard Medhurst is a beast. He's a virulent critic of U.S. imperialism. I think he's fantastic. He's right most of the time. He got a job in RT America. That's fantastic news. He just wrote an article for them which got published about Israel and Palestine, so he got a published article in RT. Now, he points out that there's hypocrisy with democracy in the West. That's absolutely true. Britain doesn't even have a constitution. Britain's run by a monarchy. Oh, shit. We're going to listen to Britain with a fucking monarchy? Britain that don't even have a constitution? Yeah, Britain, your fucking democracy is shit. We saw how you picked Boris Johnson. What, 5% of the people voted for him? So the United States has problems. In 2016, Donald actually lost the popular vote. He got less votes. How did the person who got less votes become the winner? So apparently in America, if you're the loser, in fact, you're not the loser. You're the winner. If you're not first, you're last. No, if you're last, you're first. So it's hypocritical of the U.S. and Britain to say other nations are not democracies. Some state elections in Kentucky have single-digit turnouts in non-presidential election years. Oh, we voted that governor. Who voted? 9% of the people voted. And what, 5% of those 9%? That's why he got, okay. And then virtually all U.S. elections fail because we don't have instant runoff voting, except for Maine and New York City mayor. So that doesn't mean independents don't have a chance. You have to be a Republican or Democrat in this country. You have no chance of winning whatsoever. So I feel Richard Medhurst on all the hypocrisy of the whole thing. But Assad, just like Lukashenko in Belarus and Paul B. in Cameroon, they're cheaters. They didn't win their elections. They cheated. Richard Medhurst made a point that most Syrians support Assad, you know, whether I like it or not. Now, I'll admit that Assad has lots of support, but I can't say that he has most. Most is majority. That's democratic legitimacy. Now, how can we be for sure if he has most versus lots? Well, you know, I can't be for certain. I can say that lots of people support Assad, but we have no idea if most of the Syrian people actually support Assad if he ran against an actual viable, second party candidate. They don't even have second parties in Syria. So America, we don't have third parties. Third parties have no chance, but in, Syria, second parties don't have a chance. They don't have a choice. They don't have a choice. So I believe that Assad has lots of supporters, but the only way, but the only way to figure out if he's got most, if he's got a majority, if he's got democratic legitimacy, is to have a free and fair election. This was not a free and fair election. It's during wartime or whatever. It's going to be, it looks like a lot of these fucking dictatorships get away with this fucking bullshit. But this is bullshit. This is bullshit. This is a lot of horse shit. Assad didn't win that fucking election. It wasn't a legit election. It wasn't even close to being a legit election. And anybody who believes otherwise are, just relook at the data. Check it out. Because you're not right. You're not. Richard Medhurst is incorrect when he thinks that was a fair election. That was not a fair election in Syria. Richard Medhurst. It was not a fair election. And, yeah, and Colorado's got some good elections, but we don't have instant runoff voting